Hello and welcome to Tips from the Triangle, your weekly gardening show with me. I am the artist AmarA. I'm not an expert on gardening, but I love to garden. I love to learn, and I love to share with you. All right, let's start off first thing with a good deep breath. You ready? As a lot of you might have heard on social media, or indeed right here on this radio station, the Bundy Museum is closing down for an indefinite amount of time. And I'm heartbroken over this. I'm upset and I'm frustrated, but I also don't really know anything about what happened, about why, about what they hope to accomplish with it. And so I'm not going to talk about it this week. But when I do know something, my listeners, I will tell you what's going on to the best extent that I can. Let's move on from that. Let's take another nice deep breath. I honestly feel like I need one after that. You ready? Let's go for it. Well, my friends, I start school tomorrow. Like a little delirious on this. I'm starting graduate school at Binghamton University tomorrow. And I did not graduate from undergrad recently. It's been a bit. But do you know what? I don't think that matters so much about being nervous about starting something new. I don't think that it has to do with how long it's been since you've been out of school or, age or anything like that. I think it's just a little bit scary to start something new. And that's cool. That's okay. We're all there. None of us knows exactly where we're going. None of us knows exactly why we're here or what we hope to get out of it. I mean, that is humanity right there. None of us knows why we're here or what we hope to get out of it. That is the lived experience of humanity. But so one of the things about going back to school is that I am going to have even less time than I usually do for fall cleanup. And I'll be honest with you folks, like sometimes in the fall, I just let it all go, really. I do my harvesting, and other than that, I'm terrible at putting my gardens to bed, at doing fall projects, at any of that. Really, the most I can hope for is to take some pictures of things, like reference pictures, not artistic pictures, but like reference pictures, so that when I'm working on next year's map and trying to figure out what I'm going to do, I at least have that. Those are my two goals for the fall every year. Harvest everything, take some pictures. And I'm about 50-50 for that. Harvesting, I generally tend to accomplish. The pictures before the snow flies, not necessarily. Here's to hoping. But baby steps. Do you know, like tonight, it was, oh my gosh, what a beautiful night. I'm talking to you on Sunday, and it's been overcast and just like a little bit rainy all day. And those days, my friends, people say, oh, it's so sunshiny. What a beautiful day. And I'm like, yeah, if you like that sort of thing. It's really not my bag. It tends to be hot and annoying, and it beats down on you, and you have to spray with the lotion. You have to make sure that you get in the shade and you drink lots of water. No. Give me like a misty, rainy day or a nice overcast, windy day anytime. those are those are perfect days. I love that. Not for painting outside, but for gardening. I love that. And so today after dinner, I went outside and I was like, cool, I'm going to get this one thing done that's been really, I've been telling myself I need to do it. I know it's only going to take me 5 minutes. I'm going to do it now. I'm going to go out with the trimmer. I'm going to trim the forsythia bush so that it's not encroaching on the patio anymore. And that'll be done. We'll all be quite happy. We'll move on with our lives. And of course, the minute that I got done with that, I'm like cleaning up all of the forsythia scraps, because there are some things that you can trim and just leave them be. They'll be fine. There are some things that if you leave them on the ground, they will grow new ones. And forsythia is one of those. Like, if a branch hits the ground and sits there long enough, it's gonna start growing roots. And in some places I want that. In fact, I have a lovely forsythia nursery where I encourage the branches, the living branches, to get all the way down onto the ground. And I'll put like stones or bricks on them to encourage them to grow a new bush. That's where I get forsythia bushes from. I'm hoping to do sort of a forsythia hedge for privacy. And so that is where I have started with that, is to have that nursery. However, once I've placed them on the other side of the house where I want my hedge to be, I really don't want them growing more. I want those to be specifically placed, trimmed up, kept neat. And so I went out and I kept it neat. I went to pick up all of the forsythias to let them die off completely in a bucket. And then I will take them and put them into my compost. And then there were some plants that were revealed by trimming that I was like, cool, you're weeds, let's get rid of you. And then that led to realizing that, because of this, I had to move these 2 plants in pots, and maybe we would all be better served by moving these pots somewhere else, because they're really having to stretch for the sunlight. And you know how it goes. One thing leads to another. And, suddenly you find that you're tying up tomato plants that are growing in a path. Because, it's already got little baby tomatoes on it, and I don't really want to pull it out, even though it's in an inconvenient place. So I guess I'll just do my best to tie it back and reap the rewards of these little tiny tomatoes. And I kind of like that kind of gardening where you go out to try to do one thing, or intending to do one thing, and along the way you sort of find all these other things to do, and you whether you accomplish the original task or not, you've just kind of bounced all over your garden and had a good time with it. My gardening expedition was cut tragically short this evening by a wasp that stung me on my shoulder. And I ran screaming inside, yelling that I had gotten stung and get it off me, get it off me. Luckily, my wife is very patient and kind, told me to breathe normally, took a look at it, got the calamine lotion, mothered me a little bit, which, it's so nice to have people around who can do that for you. It doesn't have to be a romantic partner or anything like that. Sometimes it's just a friend or a neighbor, somebody who, when something happens, you can go to them. So one of my big projects this year was sweet potatoes. I I had a great time with it so far. To recap, sweet potatoes, when you put them partially in water, if you suspend them half in a cup of water, they'll grow roots and eventually they'll grow slips. And they're called slips because they really they slip right off of the potato. It's crazy. You would think that there would be like suddenly a crater in the potato or it would alter the potato in some way. But no, it just like grows these things and then you pull them off and the potato is like, aha, unscathed. And so it grew a bunch of slips and they are beautiful, like heart leaves that grow on vines. They are kind of a dark greenish color with just a little bit of red in them. They're a little bit exciting. I like them. And so I've got them outside in 3 of them in one big container that I have. And then I have another 2 in smaller containers. And then I kept on having more slips. So I planted 1 in a patio garden and then a whole bunch of them way out in a garden out in the fields to experiment and really, see how they do. They were a little late into the ground, I think, but not too late because they like it super duper hot. And when I was planting them, it was like that first big heat wave. And it was the first time that it really wasn't getting cold at night. And they took off really well. They've grown really well. They seem like very happy plants. And so I looked up, as one does, I don't do all of the research in one go. I sort of like research step 1. And then once step 1 is complete, then I'll research step 2. And so I had to research and find out what the deal is with the frost. Some things you can have a light frost and that's fine. Some things need to come out before any frost at all. As it turns out, sweet potatoes, light frost is fine. It should make the vines die back. If the vines don't die back by themselves, then I meant to cut them off and then give the sweet potatoes that are in the containers or in the ground like a week to settle, and it'll help them. They'll grow a thicker skin, and that will help them keep better. And they're not meant to be watered during that time, which I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with that because the autumn here tends to be kind of watery, but more research is needed on that one. I don't know if it's better to pull them out ahead of time if it's going to be really rainy or if it's better to leave them and let them get a little bit wet. These are the questions that I think to ask, and then I go and hunt and find out what the answers are. And I found YouTube really, really helpful this year. So a lot of the time when I do research, I'm reading articles, which is great because I love to read. I've got stacks of gardening books, and I've read most of them cover to cover. And I keep them because I might need to reference them someday. Like, should the internet just disappear one day, I'm going to need those books. And so I just keep them. Not, but I keep them. But we do have the internet. And this year, a lot of the time, instead of finding articles to read, I found myself going to YouTube. And I found like 3 or 4 creators that I really like. Other people, comment and say that they've done similar things, and the comment section is really robust. They have links to, either Instagrams where they're showing the process of what they're doing, or websites that talk, where they talk more about it in a blog type style. And I really like that. I like being able to look at the people that I'm getting information from and sort of vet them further. And I like when there's lots of information connected to what they're doing. And I like being able to put it on the YouTube and really, see what's going on. That helped immensely with the sweet potato project because one of the guys that I watched was literally showing you this is what my sweet potato is like when it's ready to be slipped off. This is what it's like when it's ready to go in the ground. It's not going to grow for a couple of weeks because it doesn't get warm enough here. I didn't have that problem. But this is what it's going to start doing. And then you want to trim it so that the vines will get bushier and it won't try to put roots in someplace else, because sweet potato vines are very much like forsythia bushes. Once that vine touches down, it's going to throw down roots and try to grow more. And every single time I cut off sweet potato vine, right? Like when I trimmed it so that it would do the bushier thing, I could stick that in water and it would grow roots. I mean, these things are magic. I definitely want to try them again next year, even if this year's harvest isn't the best, because I think I can start earlier and do better. The thing is that I started plenty early, but I didn't know how to get it to start growing slips, which is that it needed to be really hot. And once I put it in a room where it could get really, really hot, then boom, we were off to the races. There were just slips growing everywhere. And I really enjoyed that. It was a lot of payoff for very little effort. And so I'm super, super excited to see how many sweet potatoes we got, how big they are, what quality they are. I love sweet potatoes. And one of the things that's, I don't know, maybe a little frustrating is that a lot of the things that I grow are things that are kind of relatively cheap anyway. Like sweet potatoes aren't exactly expensive. But, oh well, a dollar saved, so on and so forth. In terms of that, I'm more excited about my potatoes. I did quite a lot of potatoes in tote bins this year. So I had a lot of problem with growing them in the ground. We had a lot of issue with Japanese beetles, and we couldn't really put a frame up around that area. And it was just maddening. Like they would start to grow and the Japanese beetles would come in and just eat them all down, and we'd get like teeny tiny potatoes. So I started doing them in containers closer to the house, and that has been life-changing. I mean, no Japanese beetles on them at all. I don't even have to... I initially put them in the totes, right? Like the big ones that you can get for like moving and stuff. I drill out some holes in the bottom, usually of ones that are already cracked. I like to use things that aren't going to be used for anything else. But I was given a bunch of totes for no real reason. And so some of them I just drilled out holes in the bottom, even though they're not cracked. They weren't being put to any other use. They might as well be put to this use. And I start by putting a little bit of dirt in the bottom. And then I put the potatoes in and a little bit of dirt on top of them. And then as soon as they start growing, I add more dirt and more dirt and more dirt and more dirt until I get to the top. And that's supposed to really extend the root of the potato up. And so it'll grow potatoes out the sides and really fill up that bin. And I thought with the bins, like, okay, if we need to like throw some mosquito netting or something over this to keep the Japanese beetles off, like that's reasonable to do near the house. Like, we can definitely figure out some structures, figure out some things, and put some netting over it. But as it turned out, they've never come near it. The potatoes have done really well. I've got them in all size containers because I sort of wanted to see what would happen. Like, I've got a couple in the bins, and then I've got a couple in like 2-gallon containers, like weird shaped containers. I want to see if I'm going to end up with weird shaped potatoes, I guess. They're just kind of what I had. And sometimes that's what you do. You know, I would love it if everything looked really nice and everything was in really fancy planters and that they all matched and that there was a theme and that I threw them myself and fired them in a kiln. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this. But that's not the case. That's where I'm going with this. That's not what I've got. I've got a bunch of containers that people have given me. I've got containers that I keep from year to year. I've got containers that other people are giving away that I find on the curb. And, you know, I just make them all work the best that I can. And that's something I need to remember. And something that I'm giving to you, my friends, as I go back to school, as you do whatever challenges, face whatever challenges you are facing, is that we're all doing the best we can, you know? Some days that's magnificent. Some days it's amazing. Some days the best that you can do is the best that you'll ever do. It's the best of humanity. You're leading the way. And some days it is sitting up out of your couch so that you can grab your water and drink it. You know, I mean, some days are rough. And that's not a failure. That is just life. And I kind of think that I used to think that you just kept going, you know? But my beautiful wife has taught me to take a moment, take an hour, take a day, take a weekend, and just relax. Just let the only thing what needs doing be get food, do food. And sometimes that's exactly what we need, and that's okay. It took me a really, really long time to learn that. Maybe I shouldn't be going to grad school if it took me 20 years to learn that having a relaxing day is okay. But I'm doing it anyway. And I'm going to give myself permission to relax some days and to accept that I'm not going to get it all done. Honestly, after that wasp stung me and I came in and my beautiful wife put calamine lotion on it and it was like, okay, the moment of panic is over. I honestly thought for a sec, okay, I'm going to go back out into the garden and keep working. And, you know, if I had done, that would have been fine. I'd have gotten more stuff done. It's a beautiful night out. But it's okay that I didn't, too. And gardening is such a great hobby because it's so forgiving. The plants didn't care that I hadn't cleaned them up. They were perfectly content to keep growing. The cleaning them up is something that I wanted to do so that my environment looks the way that I want it to. And that's One of the gifts of gardening is that you can do that. You can shape it, you can alter it, you can change it, you can break off branches and tie things up and trim things. And the plants are fine with it. You can move plants from one place to another and they don't mind at all. And that's really magical. That's really amazing. And then they give things to you. Today I made stuffed grape leaves for a potluck tomorrow at the school. And the grape leaves are from my garden. The garlic is from my garden. The onions are from my garden. The chives are from my garden. Really, the only things not from my garden are the beef, the rice, and the seasoning. And if I'm honest with you, some of the seasoning could have come from my garden. It just happened not to. And that's a great way to be beginning, I think, is sharing that piece of me, the piece of me that grows things and harvests things and uses them with all of my new colleagues. So no matter what, my friends, I hope that you keep growing.